Hi folks, this is Double Krown. Welcome to my channel. And today I'm going to be talking about religion. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about Adam and Eve. Now, religion is one of those topics, politics and religion are things that generally people say you shouldn't talk about. But I thought I'd talk about religion because I haven't touched on it in my other videos. And I've been doing some New Age stuff, and I thought I should cover this story because what we're seeing in the world today is a lot of conflict. Now, we've got the three faiths, specifically Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And there seems to be a lot of conflict going on in the world today. So I thought that if we start at the very beginning, the story of Adam and Eve, we might be able to unravel some of the things that are happening in the world today. So let's go right back to the start of creation, and we see Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, God's creation, and God commands them not to eat off the tree of knowledge. So this in itself seems quite strange because, if he didn't want them to eat off the tree, why put it there in the first place? So it seems as though it's kind of predestined. Adam and Eve, well, first it was Adam, and Eve is then created by using one of Adam's ribs, and Adam is given a woman, and they are told not to eat off the tree of knowledge, which is put right in front of their face. So it was kind of inevitable that they would eat off the tree. But of course, once he eats off the tree, he is then punished for it, which is quite interesting, because once he's punished for it, of course, it creates this sense of guilt, and Adam is then forever feeling guilty, and Eve is then forever feeling guilty for making Adam do this act. So, the garden itself, originally, Adam is one of those lucky people who has experienced two different realities. He's experienced the reality in the garden, which seems to be some sort of paradise. He's got angels there. There is beautiful trees, beautiful fruit, a lush environment, flowing water, and it seems as though he doesn't actually need much nourishment. He doesn't need to drink the water, etc. He describes it as being full of bright colour. So it seems to be a very different reality from the new reality he experiences once he is banished from that garden. Now, the new reality is very different, because Adam then, is just a normal man like we are, and he experiences the cycle of the day, dark and light, day and night. He experiences those things for the first time. He experiences the heat of the sun, and this is all very confusing for him. These are not experiences he's had in the garden. So it seems to be a very, very different reality. And of course, he's also feeling this incredible sense of guilt, because he's eaten off a tree. Now, you would say, well, that seems to be quite a minor kind of problem, a minor kind of sin. And yet he's had to endure a life-transforming, a life-changing event because of it. And he now has to experience that for the rest of his days. So, we've got Adam and Eve, who are then banished and very confused about what's going on. We've got a very remorseful Adam, who was then in a state of constantly trying to please God, constantly feeling guilty, a negative emotion. And by the way, you can read up about all of this, this story of Adam and Eve, in the Apocrypha, which are a series of books which were not included in the Bible for some reason. Now, there's the first book of Adam and there's the second book of Adam, and there are other books as well, like the book of Enoch, and there are other books yet, which I haven't mentioned. But so you can read about this story, because the book of Genesis, of course, gives you a very limited account of the story, and it doesn't go into detail. It doesn't explain this change of reality, this change of frequency that has occurred. It doesn't even explain too much about the sons and daughters that Adam has, and about the way he lived his life. Because what happens next is Adam is in a state of confusion, and Adam seems to have died 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times. I don't know. I lost count, and it's not very clear whether he actually dies or whether he passes out. But on one occasion, for example, he drowns. On another occasion, for example, he falls down a mountain. And on another occasion, he is attacked by Satan, and presumably he's killed. So on a number of occasions, God actually has to revive Adam, and on a number of occasions he also has to revive Eve as well, who follows suit. So this story is kind of baffling, and what happens next is also quite mysterious. In the first and second books of Adam, it suggests that Adam is so distraught that he looks for some sort of comfort, and he makes an appeal to God. And the appeal to God is that he could have something from the garden as a reminder, if you like, of what he had experienced in the past. God accepts his appeal and gives him some riches from the garden, and the riches are, would you believe it, gold, incense or frankincense, and myrrh. So right from the very beginning, right from the get-go, we've got this idea of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Right from the very beginning, we've got this sense of, paradise and hell. Right from the very beginning, we've got this notion of good and evil and sin. Right from the very beginning, we've got this notion of guilt. And of course, right from the very beginning, we've got this notion of death and revival. The story continues, and Adam has 2 sons, Cain and Abel. And Cain and Abel are, again, this account of the story, the relationship that they have is not explained very clearly in Genesis. But in the story of the first book of Adam and the second book of Adam, it explains this more clearly, and the relationship that Cain has with his younger brother Abel. Cain is very arrogant, very proud, being the elder, of course. He feels that much superior, and his younger brother is kind of seen as a bit of a threat, if you like. And of course Abel is kind of favoured. Adam has a preference for Abel because of his nature, because of his goodwill, his his character, etc. And also God seems to favour Abel as well. And there's a couple of accounts in the story about how God looks favourably upon Abel's offering, but looks less favourably on Cain's offerings. So this relationship is fraught with difficulties, and it isn't long before Cain ends up actually being deceived by Satan, and Satan tries to highlight the point that God is constantly favouring Abel, and Cain is somewhat confused by this, and eventually decides to take some action and decides to kill Abel. So again, Satan deceives the sons of man. So the first deception of Satan was that Adam falls from the Garden of Eden, the fall of mankind. That's one deception. But then Satan then literally goes on the attack and literally hounds Adam day and night. Well, literally every day Satan is hounding Adam in various different ways. And I think on one occasion Satan starts a fire outside the cave in which Adam and Eve are living. On another occasion he confuses them by appearing as angels or as appearing as men. So Adam is constantly hounded and attacked by Satan. And again, this is not made clear in the Genesis account. So you would think that Adam, being the first man, he would have had it pretty easy going, and that he would have, he doesn't have to pay taxes, etc. And he would have had it pretty easy going. But in reality, you can see that Adam is constantly under attack, and he ends up dying on many different occasions. So right from the very beginning, we've got this idea of death, guilt, and then we've got this act of murder where Cain kills his brother Abel. And God speaks to Adam and informs him that humanity will be restored, and that a saviour will come. But the saviour will not come for 5,500 years. So right from the very beginning, we've got this notion of waiting for a Messiah, waiting for a saviour. So you can see that in the modern world today. We've got the main major religions. We've got Christianity, where the Christians are waiting for the second coming of Jesus Christ. Then we've got the Jews, who are waiting for a Messiah to come, a Messiah yet to come. And then we've got the Muslims, who are waiting for a Messiah as well to come. So right from the very beginning, we've got this idea of a saviour, somebody coming down to earth to rescue humanity and to restore us to a different reality and a different covenant, if you like. Also, something that's not explained very well in the Genesis account is about the children. Adam and Eve have 5 children, but on some accounts it says they might have had as many as 30 children, as many as 60 children. But from the books of Adam and Eve, I seem to think that they only had 5 children, and it seems to suggest that they only had 5 children. And those 5 children would have been Cain and his twin sister, called Luluwa, Abel and his twin sister, called Atlia, and then we've got Seth, who was born by himself. Now, Cain runs off with his twin sister Lulawa, and they get married without leave, or they join together without leave from Adam. And of course, Cain is banished from his people. He's banished from Adam and Eve and has to live elsewhere. So he goes off to live in the land of Nod, and he is not allowed to return. And of course, Adam is told not to go down, and his descendants, Seth and Atlia, are told not to go down and visit Cain in any way. So Seth gets married to Abel's sister, and they go on to have children. And so again, right from the very beginning, we've got two societies building up. We've got a clash of civilizations, if you like. Right from the very beginning, we've got Cain's family, who are now separate and banished from Adam and Eve. And then we've got Adam and Eve's descendants, or family, should I say, Seth and his descendants, who are now separate from Cain's descendants, and the two do not mix. The story continues, in fact, and in reality, things change, and most of Seth's descendants do go down, tempted into Cain's city, and they do end up mixing the two. So the two there's a kind of reconciliation, if you like, between the two, between these two civilizations, between these two families. Some reconciliation occurs before we then get the story of Noah and the destruction of humanity again, and Noah is one of the descendants of Seth. So the story of Adam and Eve, which is not explained very well in Genesis, so I thought I'd cover it here, because the account in Genesis is just so it just doesn't tell you anything. It says that Cain goes off and gets married, but it doesn't explain who he's getting married to. And it doesn't explain how he found his wife. Of course, he ended up marrying his twin sister, apparently. Now, this could be a fraudulent account. I have no idea, but this is part of the Apocrypha, the first book of Adam and the second book of Adam. And so I thought that there may be some genuineness about them, and I thought I'd cover this story here. But so it's not very long into humanity's creation. We're only 1 or 2 generations in, and we've already got all the elements of the modern world. We've got death, we've got murder, we've got the clash of civilizations, we've got guilt, and we've got fear. And so this story of Adam and Eve, I think, sums up all the elements of what we're seeing in the world today. And of course, one of the critical elements is this notion of a Messiah and waiting for the coming of a Messiah, the coming of a Saviour, the coming of Jesus Christ. And this seems to be all predestined right from the dawn of time, right from the beginning of creation. Thanks for listening. That was Double Krown, and I will speak to you in my next video. Bye for now.